Today I want to talk to you about loneliness. This is our breakthrough moment, breaking the chains of loneliness. And we're going to understand its roots and reclaim our connection. So I want you to stay tuned because I know some of us have been lonely. And all these holidays that we're having and situations that we're having now, and now all of this stuff that's happening in our in a political arena is creating that loneliness. So I wanted to talk about that. Where does loneliness come from? Where does it show up? Loneliness is more than being alone. It's a deep emotional state that often stems from within. And I know a lot of us, we talk about loneliness, but we don't know where it comes from. It just doesn't pop up from anywhere. It just doesn't, oh, there it is. It's from within. It comes from within. It's not about you don't having people around you or not being involved in something. It really comes from within. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to explore the origins of loneliness. We're going to uncover how it takes root in our thoughts and our emotions and in our past experiences. So let's dive into this loneliness thing. Are you ready? Are you really ready? All right. Remember, if you want to ask a question or you have something to say to me, put it in the comment box and I will definitely shout you out. And I also have a freebie for today, a free workbook on loneliness that you can have. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this around. Make sure people know that you're getting your information and your support from Edna White, your life strategist. Okay, so here we go. How does it influence our actions? That's number one. And most importantly, let's some practical steps to free its grip from out of our lives. And it's through self-awareness and it's through mind shifts and intentional actions that you can move from isolation to meaningful connection. So what are we going to do? We're going to take away today understanding the internal roots of loneliness. Recognize how loneliness manifests in our emotions, our happiness, and in our behaviors, our actions with our hands, bodies, mouth. Okay? Practical strategies to cultivate and connect. Okay? So we're going to do that today. We're going to really get involved in that. So, how do we get to the point of loneliness? How do we get to the point of loneliness? And some of us really are feeling this loneliness and we have no idea, right? And I know I felt that way when I first moved to my apartment. And my children were older. They all had their own homes and they're doing their own things. And I was like, I'm all by myself. And I felt lonely. I started crying. And I was like, what the heck is this? What is this behavior? I couldn't understand it. I thought it was not hearing the children's voices anymore, not being around other people, and just being far from other people. I thought it was that. Ended up, it wasn't really that. It was really, the fact that I was unsure without all those people, without doing all those things for other people, who I was. So I didn't know who I was. And that's what created the loneliness. So the root of any loneliness that we feel comes from childhood experiences, emotional wounds, and societal pressures. I can tell you for myself in that first example of leaving my children and moving to this apartment that I felt afraid that I was nothing without them, that I existed only to take care of them and to be part of their lives, to help them. I became them, their saviors. But when they grew up, I didn't know how to let go. And I know that's what they say about empty nesters. You don't know how to let go. And that's the feeling that I had. It was the emotional feeling of the lost attachment that I had, the lost attachment to my children. So then I'm going to go back a little further. This just didn't happen there. Why was I holding on to my children so deathly, like with grips, right? Because I was holding on to my children like that because in my childhood no one supported me. No one loved me. No one took care of me. The times that they were supposed to care for me and protect me, they didn't. Nobody believed me when I told my truth. Nobody was there for me. And therefore, gripping onto my children, you know, being their everything, providing them things I didn't get, being there for everything they needed me for. Now, as they get older, I'm no longer there. Or they're creating their own lives and doing their own things, I feel lonely because of the disconnection I feel with them from that part of their lives. Not realizing that I could now have a better opportunity to be a bigger part of their lives because I am now in a different area of their lives, to see them grow up and raise their families, to be part of that. So I was feeling lonely, and the loneliness did not come from just not being with people. It came from dissatisfaction with my own life. So what did I have to do? I had to be vulnerable about that situation. I had to buckle up and take the rejection. And it wasn't really rejection, it was like acceptance that my children were growing up and they were creating their own lives. So I had to accept that my children were growing up, and what I taught them was good enough for them to grow up and keep their family and take care of their family. So I had to trust what I taught them, and also trust myself to trust them that they can do it. It's kind of like it's a weird situation, but this is what I learned through, the loneliness. I learned that I had to trust them. I had to trust myself. Then the second step I had to do was get a life. I had to get a life. So of course I started seeking, what do I love to do? For so many years I was working, taking care of the children, taking them places, seeing about their needs, going to their games, doing all the things they needed to do, being part of what they wanted me to do. Then there was times where my daughter-in-law needed me to be there for our grandchildren, for her when she was working, or my son for when he was gone. So I had to step in places. So I didn't have time enough to think about what did I love to do. I didn't think about that, right? Had no time to think about that. Well, now I have great time. At that time, I had great time. It was 4 years ago, to get some self perspective and some perception, and have that internal dialogue with myself to really find out what I really like to do. So the next step I took was to figure out what I like to do. Now, if you all follow me, you know I'm a writer. I write many books. I read a lot of books too, other people's books actually. And I knew that I loved to write. So I said, there's got to be more to me than just writing. Got to be more. So I never wanted to draw or anything like that. That wasn't my thing. I always thought about playing the piano. I loved languages. So I decided to go out and learn a different language, another language, or build upon the language that I already knew. Then I decided, let me just go out and pay for some horseback riding lessons. So I did that. And the third thing I did was get some canoe lessons, and I did that. So I found out although I rode the horse and finished the lesson, I didn't like Didn't like riding horses. Didn't give me that light fluffy feeling. But when I got started canoeing, I loved it. I loved how it made me feel afterwards. I loved the adventure of it all. So I was like, okay, this is one thing that I like to do. So what am I telling you? That out of my experience, I found more about myself, because when you're lonely, you start to isolate. So we're going to talk about that. So what does it feel like? What does loneliness feel like? In the emotional aspects of it, it's sadness, it's emptiness, and it's longing for something. You don't know what. You know how like you want something to eat different than you've had for weeks and you just don't know what it is? That's that feeling. Like this, there's a longing out there. What can I do? What is it that I can do or want to do? What is it? Then there's the physical manifestation of fatigue, stress, and discomfort. Fatigue, stress, and discomfort. You feel those things. And then the behavioral signs are avoidance, self sabotage, and unhealthy coping mechanisms. So, self sabotage is, oh, no, but I better not do that, because if I go see my friends and hang out with them, if I go over here, if I start doing this, if I start getting on the horse, then I might not like it. And then you start talking bad to yourself. You start giving yourself some bad self talk, and setting yourself up for failure, for disappointment. Then it's the avoidance, not going to talk with your friends, not calling your friends, not hanging out with your friends, not even walking outside, finding excuses not to do things, silly excuses not to do things. And then there's unhealthy coping mechanisms. Saying no when an opportunity presents itself for you to get out amongst human beings. Say, oh no, well, it might rain, or the sun is going to go down. Some just unhealthy, lies, really. That's what they really are. Just lying to get out of being around people and enjoying life. So how do we act when we are lonely? We do some crazy things when we start lonely. And I know with this new internet, with the internet being part of that, we go on the internet and we start lying, and we start saying stuff, stuff that we had no business saying, just trauma dumping on, on the internet. We start just doing stupid stuff, saying stupid things, going to other people's pages, saying crazy things to them. Because because we're lonely and we want some validation. You know, I know someone that will go on Facebook and announce that they have a cold so they can get sympathy from people. Many people get a cold. What are you talking about? Every time they would go on there and just do some really crazy things. That's the act of loneliness. That's the act of loneliness. Withdrawing from social interactions or overcompensating. Now, this is a good one. Withdrawing for interactions. You have a bingo night, right? Just have a bingo night, or maybe you have your friend says, "I'm coming over to pick you up. We're going out." Nah, I don't want to go. These people may not want to see me. Now you're going to bingo. Only thing that people want to see is the winner, and they want to be the winner. Okay? So you make up like these things to just withdraw from the world. Just make it up, right? You overcompensate. Oh, my leg hurts really bad, and you start faking it. That's overcompensating. It does hurt, but it's over exaggerated lie. I got a toothache. It does hurt, but I'm over exaggerating the lie because I don't really want to go. Or not that I really want to, I'm making an excuse not to go because I'm lonely. You come to me. Or I can't see at night. Or I can't see, the glare is in my eyes. But you go everywhere all day. When you're driving, you go wherever you want to go. just over exaggerated instead of just saying, the truth is, this or that. I'm just not feeling like it. So you compound the loneliness with a lie, and then it becomes a bigger problem because then people remember your lie. You don't remember your lie. That's the worst part. You don't remember when you're a liar. You don't remember your lies. You can't keep track of them. Everybody else does. So make just so you guys know, you're gonna be lying. You're gonna compound your loneliness with lies. Engaging in distractions to numb emotions, like on social media, binge watching, playing those games all day, every day, not doing anything else, and just getting super absorbed in there, and then listening to people bully you and bash you in there, just making excuses, and then you're gonna get engaged, and that's another layer of your loneliness. So how do you take steps to overcome this loneliness? How do you do that? How do you start to overcome this? One thing is self-awareness, and how you gain a self-awareness is to engage in some quiet time and being aware of yourself. Put away your phone, put away the music, put away the coffee or the tea, put away the TV, and just sit in silence for 5 minutes. And be aware of what goes across your mind and what doesn't go, how your body feels and how it doesn't feel. Be aware. Be aware of those things that come up in your mind, like, wow, I do say that, huh? That's not healthy. When you become self-aware, you recognize and you acknowledge that you're lonely without judgment. And you say, yeah, I do feel lonely. I do feel like I don't know if I fit in this situation. I do feel like I don't fit anywhere. I do feel like I'm worthless. But don't judge yourself, and that's fine. Self-awareness help you just to acknowledge that you're thinking this way and how it impacts you in general. Yeah, I do say that. Oof, it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy, right? So the second thing that happens after that is now you have to start reframing your mindset. That means a shift has to happen. So when you're saying, I won't get along with people if I go out, shift that. I may not know anyone out there, but I'm going to do my best to show my friendly side, right? So you switch even that. Even saying I'm alone to I'm discovering myself. You're going to shift that thought, right? The third thing you're going to do, I'm doing two things. The third thing you're going to do is build meaningful connections. Quality over quantity in relationships. So take that step out just to take a walk outside. And if you see somebody walking past you and they do say hello to you, say hello back. Create a meaningful connection, and they'll smile and you'll smile and you'll go your separate ways. Build meaningful connections, even in just your walking, if it's 5 minutes. If you have a pet and you're petting your pet and you're quiet and the pet comes and lays on you, create that meaningful connection. Make a meaningful connection. Build it. If you go out and you with someone and you're talking to someone, they have a conversation, make it your business, not to sit there hunched over, leaning over and like, I wonder when people are gonna start talking to me. Get up and talk to somebody. Walk around and just say hi. And then people start talking to you. Make a meaningful effort to make a connection. The fourth step is taking action. Engage in hobbies. Just like I did, I had to suss out what I like to do. So I didn't know I didn't like horseback riding, but I did it. And I finished it. I completed it. And I was like, nope, that's not for me. So get involved in different things so you can find out, discover who you are. Get involved in different hobbies. Go volunteer somewhere. right? Or go into a support group and open up to others, you know? Get involved in something that takes action on your part. And it doesn't have to include your friends, you know, because let's truth be told, you haven't been paying attention to your friends lately. Truth be told. So, you know, get involved in that. The fifth thing, I think it's the fifth thing, self love and acceptance. Love yourself. Love yourself. Find fulfillment within before seeking it externally. And I tell this to my couples when I'm having couples therapy. I say to them, you find fulfillment within before you're seeking it outside. So if you're not fulfilled and you're very needy and you want somebody to be around you all the time and you want to know where they are all the time, that's because you're not fulfilled inside. And you will not make a great partner at all. So just so you know, find fulfillment within yourself before you start seeking it on the outside. So be a friend to yourself before you start seeking friends on the outside. Fall in love with yourself before you fall in love with someone else. Okay? Just so you know. So, in closing, remember that that where loneliness starts, you know, the root of loneliness starts in your childhood experiences, your emotional wounds, and your societal pressures. It also stems from fear and rejection. How do you act? Is you seek external validation, you withdraw, you engage in bad behaviors. And there's steps to overcome self-awareness, reframing your mindset, building meaningful connections, taking action, and creating that self-love and acceptance. Take one small step today. Do it today, or whenever you hear me. Take that one small step, and then you'll see how loneliness will start to dissipate. Loneliness is a journey, not a destination. You have the power to change your narrative, and you can do it. Now, if you'd like to expand on your loneliness and you'd like a free workbook from me, put your name or raise your hand in the comment section and I'll send it to you. You know, I'll send you the PDF version and you could tell me later what you thought about it. All right? So remember, free PDF on how to help yourself with loneliness is available to you. Just leave your comments below. As a matter of fact, I'll put it in the comments so you can grab a copy. Thanks so much for stopping by and hanging with me. Hi, Sam Gaming, and hi, Bazilla. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you. See you next time.